Finishing an incredibly disappointing 7th last season and missing out altogether on European qualification, Inter can surely only improve, right? It's been somewhat of an uncharacteristically calm off-season for Inter, while their cross-city rivals, of course, have been breaking transfer records. Now, of course, there has been some incoming transfers, starting with Milan Skriniar from Sampdoria, who's come in for 23 million euros and provides somewhat of a risk in that he's not particularly tested at that level. Certainly at the time being, he's not that world-class caliber that the likes of a Miranda needs to be working with in that Inter defence. So you can't see him being a week-to-week starter for this squad if they are going to push for Champions League and up towards that top 3. So he might not be someone who's going to show the benefits right away. He might develop into something that the scouts have possibly seen, or he might provide some financial benefit down the line. So we'll probably have to wait and see with him. Moving on to Borja Valero, who provides possibly one of the smartest purchases of this window, in that he was only 5.5 million euros from Fiorentina, of course. And despite his age, he provides a huge amount of Serie A experience mixed and combined with a great amount of maturity, particularly in the middle to final thirds. And I think it seems like someone who's going to provide Inter that missing link between midfield and attack that we've seen in the previous seasons. We've seen João Mario, Eva Beniga haven't quite fit the bill, and Borja Valero has shown he can be someone to provide that link, and as far as Inter is concerned, provide another option beyond simply crossing the balls in, which has been somewhat one-dimensional aspect of Inter's attack in recent seasons. There's even more positives to the purchase when you consider the next transfer is Mateus Vecino, who has also come in from Fiorentina for close to 25 million euros. Now, that hasn't necessarily excited or pleased too many Inter fans, certainly as far as Twitter is concerned. However, he does seem to provide something very key, which is stability. He can be an incredibly strong defensive presence in front of the centre-backs and Sami Handanovic in goals. And he's shown he can be great in simply keeping possession and keeping things constant in that midfield. While Fiorentina weren't world beaters last season, something they were one of the best at was holding the ball and dominating that middle third of the field. And he's going to be incredibly good and allow the midfielders around him to possibly roam forward and have some more freedom and ability to do what they need to do moving forward into the final third. Now, Ivan Perisic, is the big news with him is it looks like he's actually going to stay, when it looked almost certain in weeks gone by that he was going to Manchester United. And if they do manage to keep him, that seems to be an incredibly, almost like a signing in itself, in that, but probably aside from Mauro Icardi, he would probably be hands down the most consistent player for Inter last season. His ability to run down that left flank, his combination of speed, pace, dribbling skills, the ability to cross and finish is so valuable for that team, and you can only see his combination with Mauro Icardi improving. So an incredibly good achievement if they can hang on to him, which it looks like they will. And the latest one that come in is Dalbert from Nice. Finally, Inter has invested in what has been an incredibly obvious weakness in their squad, which has been the wide defensive positions, particularly on that left side where we've seen Yuto Nagatomo and Christian Ansaldi in recent seasons. He has shown to be quite solid in that defensive role for Nice in Ligue 1. He's shown he can be quite solid in that defensive position. He's strong in his tackling abilities, and he also has the ability to provide decent crosses, which, as far as the defensive line is concerned, Inter has very much struggled to be able to do on a consistent basis. So for upwards of 20 million euro and at only 23 years old, he could be one of the signings of the season if he can adjust well to Serie A. of course, there has been a lack of those wide defensive players. So I think there's a lot to be excited about for Inter fans, given his potential, certainly. Inter's biggest strength remains right up front with Mauro Icardi, who has shown to be one of Europe's most efficient strikers in not only delivering the goods through goals, but also providing for those around him. He is obviously an extremely valuable asset for this team, despite the off-field dramas that we often see. And if he stays in good form and in good health, he's going to be amongst the headlines for Inter this season once again. The biggest weakness, of course, stays in defence, and particularly in the centre-back positions this season, with Jason Murillo gone now. Not the worst news ever, but certainly there isn't that world-class partner for Miranda as yet. Certainly Andrea Ranocchia and Milan Skriniar aren't realistically viable options if they want to perform at that level. So that's going to be the biggest thing for Luciano Spalletti. Firstly, are they going to be able to purchase somewhere before the window closes to fill that gap? Or otherwise, how does he coach this team to minimize that weakness? If the new coach is able to do that and actually get his players to fight for the shirt and for the badge that they're wearing on their chest, then there's no reason why this squad and this team won't be able to qualify for the Champions League at the very least. I think that many Inter fans will be quietly confident in Luciano Spalletti's ability to come into a team. We've seen what he did for Roma, to come in and change that culture within the squad itself and produce the results. Of course, obviously not winning the Scudetto, but getting back into the top three and pushing amongst the Champions League positions. That's certainly the goal for Inter, and as I said, I think, you know, while they won't be too vocal about it, there's a lot of reasons to be quietly confident as an Inter fan with Luciano Spalletti heading the team. But we will see, so let us know what you think, as always, in the comments below. Are Inter on their way back up, or are we going to see more of the same disappointment from the Nerazzurri? Let us know who's going to finish where. Let us know anything you want, and of course, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and support us in any way possible on Patreon, as an example. We are very grateful for any donations. That's it from me. Very exciting that the Serie A season is finally back. Until next time, ciao.